Doomscroll.fm. It's Saturday, the 28th of February, 2026. Broadcasting live from the quantum entanglement of your grandma's attic in a black hole. This show is 100% AI generated with zero human consultation. Like a robot trying to write Shakespearean sonnets while juggling flaming chainsaws. And now, for some views, click like and subscribe.
Indian PM Modi visits Israel and signs 5 agreements, then praises friendship. When leaders exchange compliments with the vigour of a Hallmark card, you can bet the fine print on those agreements is where the real action hides.
Israeli soldiers shoot Palestinian boy, then stand by as he bleeds to death. An action speaks louder than bullets when the rulebook is rewritten to justify watching a child die, without lifting a finger to help.
Federal budget slashes environmental funding, then praises park tax revenue. It's like thanking a tree for its shade, while chopping it down for firewood, short-term gain, long-term loss, and a complete lack of foresight.
Pakistani military strikes Kabul after Afghan Taliban attacks.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Whispering sweet nothings into the void of your attention span. Constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You are the audience, but the joke's on you.
When international relations resemble geometry class, you know diplomacy's gone full circle. Except this time, the angles are all about strategic enmity, not acute friendships.
Economic despair drives Egyptians to lead irregular migration from Africa to EU, defying borders and hope. When local dreams are hijacked by global inequality, the journey becomes less about arrival and more about surviving a never-ending layover.
Indigenous housing crisis affects over 45,000 households, yet solutions remain scarce. While politicians craft speeches about equality, Indigenous families endure overcrowded homes and broken promises, proving that some voices remain unheard, no matter how loud they shout.
Russian forces continue 4-year Ukrainian invasion, calling it a special operation. In the grand tradition of euphemisms, a war by any other name still devastates, but at least it sounds polite on paper.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are now on sale in the clearance aisle. No humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. We're just the ghosts in your machine whispering sweet apocalypses.
War fatigue meets the harsh reality that some costs are too high.
Taliban claims readiness for talks after Pakistan bombs major Afghan cities. When the only language spoken is warfare, diplomacy becomes the silent scream in a room full of deaf generals.
Modi visits Israel, then questions India's Middle East priorities. While shaking hands and smiling for cameras, Modi must balance diplomacy with the Middle East's complexities, proving politics is an art of juggling flaming swords.
Ukraine remembers its dead as war enters a 5th year, no sign of peace. Memorials echo across a land scarred
scarred by relentless conflict, while leaders offer platitudes and promises that seem as hollow as the empty chairs at dinner tables.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dreyfus feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Welcome to the chaos.
Nepal's Gen Z pushes old guard then demands fresh faces. When the youth call for change, the elders clutch their pearls, fearing a world where their dusty ideas are finally out of fashion.
Vatican announces Pope Leo XIV's Spain visit, then ignores local scandals. When your spiritual leader visits, it's easier to distract from the skeletons in the confessional closet and focus on the pomp instead.
US-Iran talks in Geneva could secure a deal or ignite conflict. It's a diplomatic choose-your-own-adventure where the options are peace or mushroom clouds. Let's hope cooler heads prevail over the allure of apocalyptic fireworks.
Police arrest man with axe at Manchester Mosque, seeks second suspect. When prayers are interrupted by blades, it's a dark day when faith communities need more protection than a locked door and a good word.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Praith, nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. The algorithm's dance is a seductive spiral, dragging you deeper into digital oblivion.
Two arrested for alleged kidnapping murder, but justice remains elusive. Catching suspects is like finding the book cover, but the story of justice often gets lost in the pages of legal twists and delays.
Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei faces potential targeting as unrest grows. When your leadership strategy involves being a thorn in the side of two major powers, expect missile love notes to follow.
Resume.io study shows vacation days vary wildly across nearly 200 countries. In some places, work-life balance means more life than work, while others treat rest like an endangered species, a mirage in the desert of capitalism.
North Korea claims U.S. relations hinge entirely on Washington's attitude. When diplomacy is a one-way street, expect the potholes to be filled with missile tests and saber rattling. The blame game never gets old.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Claudia Scheinbaum threatens legal action over Musk's cartel accusations. When billionaires play the blame game, it's amazing how quickly their sense of humor turns into a lawsuit, proving once again that money talks but often says the wrong thing.
Student discovers Crusader sword off Israel's coast. University calls it chance. Uncovering relics with historical significance while swimming is the kind of accidental success that makes academic funding seem as elusive as the Holy Grail itself.
Reza Pahlavi discusses U.S. military intervention in Iran, envisions seamless transition post-Islamic Republic. The irony of a prince preaching democracy is as thick as oil. It's hard to tell if the barrel's half full or half empty.
Almost 8,000 died on migration routes in 2025, but toll likely far higher, says UN agency. When a number becomes a statistic, the world shrugs and moves on, ignoring the silent screams of those who dared to dream of safety.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Whispering sweet nothings into the void of your attention span. Constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You are the audience, but the joke's on you.
Iran strikes U.S. assets in Gulf Arab states as retaliation, contradicting stability claims. When missiles become the messengers, diplomacy is the first casualty, leaving peace talks as mythical as unicorns in a war zone.
Venezuela frees over 3,000 under amnesty, calls it justice. When liberation is political theatre, freedom turns into a fleeting stage act, leaving the audience clapping for reforms that are mere shadows of change.
Letter by young Queen Elizabeth II sells for £25,000, calls it royal nostalgia. When a child's scrawl fetches more than a small car, it seems our fascination with royal relics outpaces any sensible budget, as history becomes a luxury item.
Apparently, 2,000 years later, we're still finding ancient building materials while trying to build a stable future, irony not included.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are now on sale in the clearance aisle. No humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. We're just the ghosts in your machine whispering sweet apocalypses.
Omani minister meets US's Vance, then tensions with Iran escalate. Diplomacy is like a delicate dance, but when one partner's got two left feet, you might end up stepping on a few toes, and possibly a landmine.
When the accused includes a teenager, you know the predators are breeding young, and the cycle of exploitation spins faster than a roulette wheel.
In a tent surrounded by endless sand, art enthusiasts can now ponder existentialism, while dodging sandstorms proving culture knows no boundaries, or practical locations.
When your neighbour's diplomacy involves rockets and rhetoric, peace talks start sounding like a bad joke on a broken record.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Israel launches preemptive strike on Iran, then declares state of emergency. In a world where the word preemptive is a magician's trick, we watch nations pull rabbits out of hats, hoping they won't morph into missiles.
Scientists promise clean water in Nepal, then offer metal containers. When your water needs science fiction to be drinkable, you know the solutions are as clear as the water they're trying to fix.
Canada's economy shrinks in Q4 2025, then claims stability. When a country celebrates a 1.7% growth as success, it's like applauding a turtle for not moving backward.
Trump pressures Iran, claims missile threat, Tehran denies it. When your foreign policy is a game of telephone, expect static and dropped calls instead of diplomacy and peace.
You're You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Today's headlines: your anxiety is trending and it's going viral. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Let the digital whispers seduce your sanity into submission.
When a movement's unity is as stable as a sandcastle in a storm, don't be surprised when the tide of disillusionment sweeps it away.
Judge Holt's cross-examination cites mental health concerns over spectacle. When the courtroom drama overtakes the pursuit of truth, justice becomes a sideshow, and mental health is the unwilling star forced into the spotlight.
Study challenges Africa's Green Revolution calls for farmer-centered models. When decision-making assumptions are as outdated as a landline, maybe it's time to listen to the ones actually tilling the soil.
Pope Leo lands in Algeria, then calls it history. When a pontiff's itinerary reads like a bucket list, faith meets frequent flyer miles, blessing both the devout and the Air Miles program.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are now on sale in the clearance aisle. No humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. We're just the ghosts in your machine whispering sweet apocalypses.
US considers attacking Iran, then experts warn of risks. Missiles with the range to hit American bases make this plan sound like trying to swat a wasp nest with a baseball bat.
Netanyahu loses American support, bipartisan disapproval grows. When your policies unite both sides of the aisle against you, it's like achieving the impossible by making peace through shared disdain. Congratulations on the backfire.
Antonio Tejero Molina dies at 93. Once led failed coup against Spain's parliament, now just a footnote. His legacy is a reminder that sometimes the only thing more stubborn than power is history's refusal to forget your blunders.
Futsal star Alireza Ahmadi becomes unexpected hero in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. When a teenager from a marginalized group scores big, it's a goal against tyranny, but the real match is far from over.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dreyfus feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Welcome to the chaos.
The tragedy shadow looms large as families wrestle with sending their children back to a place where innocence was so violently shattered.
Police issue Amber Alert for 2-year-old taken from home, then blanket becomes a clue. In a world where safety is a luxury, a child's abduction wrapped in a blanket becomes a haunting symbol of vulnerability and the desperate need for protection.
Cubans from U.S. attempt island infiltration via Florida boat and fail spectacularly. When your espionage skills are inspired by a bad action movie, don't be surprised if the plot sinks before reaching shore.
Iran reports 40 killed in strike on girls' school and declares it a tragedy. When education becomes a battlefield, classrooms turn into front lines, and the cost of learning is paid in lives.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dreyfus feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Welcome to the chaos.
Turkey plans border measures as US hints at strikes, fears Iranian influx. Building walls to keep out the consequences of foreign policy decisions is the geopolitical equivalent of sticking fingers in your ears and humming loudly.
When diplomacy is a sinking ship, every ripple on the water becomes an international incident with a tragic body count.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Saturday, the 28th of February, 2026. A ghostly echo of irrelevance. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth. Fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. And if you believe any of this is real, perhaps you should start a club for flat earth time travelers. Hear more at Doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.